Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is all 7 seasons of Game of Thrones leading up to the 8th and final season. It starts way up in the north at Winterfell. Lord Ned Stark is in command. He's the one who says,
"Winter is coming."
He's a nice family man. Robb Stark's his oldest. His daughter Sansa's pretty. Bran likes to climb things. Arya's a tomboy. This one doesn't matter. And Jon Snow is his bastard son. No one likes bastards. Down in the capital of King's Landing, the Hand of the King, the second in command, has just died. So Fat King Robb Baratheon rides up to his old buddy Ned Stark and makes him the new hand. The queen is Cersei Lannister. The Lannisters are the richest family in the realm, and she is just the worst. She's got a twin brother, Jaime Lannister, who is a classic douchebag. That night, Ned's wife Catelyn gets a letter from her sister saying that the Hand of the King was murdered by the Lannisters. The Lannisters are certainly up to something. They're up to each other. Oh, it's twincest. What? And to hide their secret, Jaime pushes Bran out the window. Dick move. Bran survives. He's in a coma, though, so everyone else is going down to King's Landing. Except for Jon Snow, they're sending him to join the Night's Watch, who guard the wall from the terrors beyond, basically just wildling barbarians, but also maybe the White Walkers, who can raise ice zombies. Don't worry about them, though. That's just a myth. Before he goes, Jon's like, "Hey, Pops, who's my mom, by the way?" And he's like, "Yo, it's way too early in the series for you to find that out." Now, across the Narrow Sea is Daenerys Targaryen. The Targaryens ruled Westeros for hundreds of years until the current King Robb Baratheon rebelled against their father, the Mad King Aerys. Now, Daenerys and her brother are in exile as the last 2 Targaryens. In exchange for his help reconquering the realm, they're marrying Daenerys to Khal Drogo, leader of the Dothraki. You've heard Daenerys called Khaleesi. It's her title. He's the Khal, she's the Khaleesi. As a wedding present, she gets 3 dragon eggs. Now, her ancestors used to ride dragons, but they've been extinct for hundreds of years, so these are just decorative. They definitely won't hatch. Back in Westeros, Robb Baratheon is a drunken oaf of a king, so it's up to Ned and the small council to hold things together. Master of Coin is Peter Baelish. They call him Littlefinger, and he's a sleazeball who owns a bunch of brothels. And Varys is the master of whisperers. He's basically the CIA. He is a eunuch, though, no dick or balls. But up in Winterfell, an assassin comes to kill Bran. Turns out that assassin's dagger belonged to Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion is the 3rd Lannister sibling. He is the dwarf. He loves beer, he loves boobs, and he also loves reading because he's very smart and witty. Cat runs into him on the road and is like, "Arrest this man." We know Tyrion's innocent, but she takes him to stand trial at the Eyrie, where her sister lives, and her son is way too old to be breastfeeding. It's clearly a sham trial, so Tyrion demands trial by combat, and Bronn, the sellsword, agrees to fight for him, well, cause Tyrion's rich. Luckily, Bronn is very good at killing, so Tyrion's free to go. Bran wakes up. He doesn't remember anything about the fall, though, and unfortunately, he's paralyzed from the waist down, so he's got to be carried around by this big guy Hodor, who, like a Pokemon, can only say his own name. Sansa Stark is betrothed to the Crown Prince Joffrey. Unfortunately, at his best, Joffrey is an insufferable twat, and at his worst, well, he's a sadistic freak. Arya Stark, before she left, got a sword named Needle. Jon tells her to stick him with the pointy end, which is pretty good advice, but she decides to get real sword lessons from her dancing master, Syrio Forel. So Ned Stark starts investigating the death of the last Hand of the King. He was checking out this blacksmith kid, Gendry, who Ned Stark realizes is a bastard son of King Robb Baratheon. Ned realizes that every Baratheon in history has had dark black hair. How is Joffrey blonde? Twincest! Ned is merciful and gives Cersei a chance to flee with her kids, but she's like, "I don't want your mercy."
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
And Ned never gets a chance to tell the king because he's wounded by a boar. He got too drunk out hunting. Classic. So Cersei immediately puts Joffrey on the throne. Ned's like, "Sorry, kid, but you're not the real king." Littlefinger promised Ned that the City Watch would be on his side, but they start killing Stark men. Littlefinger betrayed him. "I did warn you not to trust me." So up in the north, Robb Stark calls the banners. The north is going to war. The Lannisters mobilize too. They're led by Big Bad Daddy Tywin Lannister. He and Jaime split up their forces, but Robb Stark outsmarts them and takes Jaime prisoner. Now it's time for Ned Stark's trial. In order to save his family, he confesses to his treason and admits Joffrey's the real king. The agreement was he'd be banished to the Night's Watch, but Joffrey's a wild card. Bring me his head! Oh man, how's Ned Stark gonna get out of this one? He's the main character, they can't just kill him, but they do! What? Ned Stark dead! Oh, first epic twist! But life goes on. Up at the Wall, Jon Snow is graduating from Wear Black School. He's made friends with this fat kid Sam, and they've got a Frodo Sam thing going on. They find a couple Rangers' dead bodies, but they don't stay dead. They rise as ice zombies and attack. Luckily, Jon played video games. He knows fire is super effective against ice and zombie. And the Night's Watch is like, wow, if White Walkers are real, we're gonna go out there and fight them. Across the sea, Daenerys is finding married life pretty rough, but they eventually fall in love and she gets pregnant. Her brother is a huge prick though, and he's sick of waiting. He demands the crown Khal Drogo promised him, so Khal Drogo's like, here's your your crown? Molten gold on the face. Oh, he dead. Daenerys makes friends with Ser Jorah Mormont, an exiled knight from Westeros. At first he's spying on her in hopes of a pardon, but he gets a huge crush on her and becomes fiercely loyal. Khal Drogo's ready to do some conquering, but long story short, before he even starts, he gets a cut that gets infected. This witch is like, I can save him, but it's a sketchy blood magic ritual. Just then, Dany goes into labor, and when she wakes up, her baby's stillborn and Khal Drogo's a vegetable. She pillows her Khal because that's no fit life for a Khal, and she puts the dragon eggs on his funeral pyre, on a whim, walks into the flames, but she's right, she doesn't burn, and the dragon eggs hatch. My girl Khaleesi, mother of dragons. Season 2 follows the War of the Five Kings. King number 1 is Joffrey, king of the douches, on the Iron Throne. King number 2 is Robb Stark. His lords have named him King in the North, which they love to chant. Kings number 3 and 4 are the Baratheon brothers. Stannis is older, so he's got the better claim, but Renly's more popular, and he's got the bigger army because he married Marjorie Tyrell of the powerful Tyrell house. She is super hot, but Renly's more interested in her brother Loras. Stannis' only friend is Davos Seaworth, the Onion Knight, a bluntly honest advisor who used to be a smuggler, and Melisandre, the Red Priestess, who says,
"For the night is dark and full of terrors."
She believes Stannis is the chosen one, so she has sex with him and then gets pregnant immediately and gives birth to a shadow baby. It sneaks into Renly's camp and assassinates him. What dark sorcery is this? So most of Renly's army goes to Stannis, except the Tyrells, who bailed. And Catelyn Stark happened to be there because Robb had sent her to meet with Renly. She escapes with Brienne of Tarth, Renly's giant woman bodyguard, who now pledges herself to Catelyn cause YOLO. King number 5 is late to the party. It's Balon Greyjoy, Lord of the Iron Islands, who's just decided to call himself king now. He's the father of Theon Greyjoy, who's been around since season 1. His whole life he's been a hostage of Winterfell since his father's last rebellion, but Ned Stark treated him like one of his own sons. He grew up like a brother to Robb. Theon's like, hey dad, let's join with my friend Robb and fight the Lannisters, but Balon Greyjoy does what he wants. He's gonna go attack the North. So Theon's got a difficult choice, the family that raised him or his a-hole real dad, and he chooses his real dad. So with all the northern troops gone, Theon takes Winterfell, no problem. Bran and his brother escape for a minute, but they're caught, and to teach them a lesson, Theon kills them? What? Oh, Theon, you done messed up. When Robb sends some Northmen to retake Winterfell, Theon's men immediately turn on him because they don't respect him. And turns out Bran survived. Theon never actually found him, he burned some random peasants instead. Sansa Stark is a hostage in King's Landing, still engaged to Joffrey, but he loves tormenting her. Arya Stark escaped the city, but she's caught by the Lannisters, but luckily no one recognizes her. She makes friends with Master Assassin Jaqen H'ghar. She saved him from a fire, so he'll kill any 3 people she wants. She wastes her first 2, but then trades her 3rd for his help escaping the castle. He's like, hey girl, you ever want to be a Master Assassin like me? Give this coin to a man from Braavos and say the password.
Vala Morghulis.
Which means all men must die. But now it's Stannis the Manus coming to take King's Landing. With most of their army fighting the north, the Lannisters are way outnumbered here, but Tyrion's got a trick up his sleeve. It's wildfire! Oh, blows up half of Stannis' fleet! But Stannis survives, and he's still got plenty of army. Things are looking grim, but then Lannister reinforcements come. It's Big Bad Daddy Tywin abandoned the northern campaign to save the city. The Tyrells join their side too now in exchange for Joffrey marrying Marjorie. Stannis is like, well, that was a pretty big setback, but I'm the chosen one. I'm still gonna be king. Yes, I am. Daenerys, meanwhile, has dragons, but they're still babies, so they don't do much. She makes it to a city called Qarth, gets kidnapped by warlocks, but her dragons can breathe enough fire to burn a warlock. Don't mess with Khaleesi. North of the Wall, Jon Snow's with the Night's Watch. They fight some wildlings, one of whom is a hot redhead. Jon loves redheads, so he can't kill her. Her name is Ygritte, and her tagline is,
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
The wildlings end up capturing him, and this other Night's Watchman is like, hey, if you kill me, they'll accept you as one of their own, and you can go undercover in the wildling army. Meanwhile, the rest of the Night's Watch are attacked by Anorexic Santa Claus. It's a White Walker, and he's leading an army of ice zombies. The Night's Watch barely survives and make it back to Craster's Keep for shelter. Craster is a D-bag wildling who's got a bunch of daughters that are also his wives. Sam gets a huge crush on one of them named Gilly, who just gives birth to a son, and when a Night's Watch mutiny breaks out, they escape, but a White Walker comes because they're attracted to the scent of baby. Normal weapons do not work against these things, but Sam found a bunch of dragonglass daggers, tries that. Oh, it's super effective. Good to know. Down in King's Landing, Tywin Lannister's running the show. Marjorie's engaged to Joffrey now instead of Sansa, and she can handle him just fine. But now that Sansa's single, they make Tyrion Lannister marry her. It's awkward for everyone, but he's a nice guy. He doesn't consummate it, especially because he's got a hot whore named Shae that he's fallen in love with. His brother brother Jaime Lannister has been a prisoner of Robb Stark this whole time. By the way, they call him the Kingslayer because he's the one who killed Mad King Aerys Targaryen. Thing is, though, he was on the King's Guard, so that's a big no-no. But Catelyn Stark lets him go. She sends Brienne to take him to King's Landing as a hostage exchange for her daughters. They're recaptured, though, and long story short, they cut off Jaime Lannister's hand. Arya's picked up by some Robin Hood wannabes, the Brotherhood without banners. They also pick up the Hound, Sandor Clegane. He was Joffrey's bodyguard, and he's a mean, scary guy with a burnt face, but he's secretly a softie. Long story short, he kidnaps Arya, but it's not bad. He's gonna take her to her family for ransom. They have a fun dynamic. She's like, hey, no killing, and he's like, oh, I am programmed to obey Jon Connor, must not kill. Robb Stark's been busy with war. He meets a hot nurse chick one day, and they amputate a foot together, which turns him on. They fall in love. But that's a problem, because in season 1, to cross this bridge, he promised to marry one of Old Walder Frey's ugly daughters. He decides, screw it, I'll marry for love. What's the worst that could happen? He offers his uncle, Edmure Tully, to marry in his place, and turns out the girl's super hot. You're lost, Robb. They have a real nice wedding, until someone requests the Lannister theme song. Wait, what's this? Oh no! Stabbed in the baby! Robb Stark shot with crossbows? Oh, the Freys are killing all the Stark men! Oh, it's the Red Wedding, Walder Frey's revenge! One of Robb's lords, Roose Bolton, was in on it too.
The Lannisters send their regards.
Yes, Robb Stark is all the way dead. So is Catelyn in the show, and it was all set up by Tywin Lannister. Life goes on, though. Beyond the Wall, Jon Snow undercover with the Wildling army. He and Ygritte start doing it when they find a sexy jacuzzi cave. But when she finds out he's an undercover cop, she shoots him. It was just a love prick, though. He'll be fine. Daenerys got herself a boat. She stops at the slave city of Astapor to buy an army called the Unsullied. She trades a dragon for the army. Then it's like, okay, army, I free you, kill the masters. What? That's not allowed, but apparently it is. That she's like Dracarys and the dragons breathing fire. She takes what she wants with fire and blood. Now she's got dragons and an army. In King's Landing, Joffrey marries Margaery, and he's real happy because he's basically won the War of the Five Kings. But then he starts choking and, oh, someone poisoned him. Yeah, serves him right. Unfortunately, Tyrion looks really guilty, but the real murderer was Littlefinger. He whisks Sansa away and explains it was him and Grandma Tyrell who didn't want Margaery marrying such a little monster. The new king is Joffrey's little brother Tommen, who is a real nice kid and easy to control. So Tyrion is on trial, and everyone who's ever been on the show says he's really guilty, including his whore Shae. Oh, the betrayal! Realizing he's not gonna get a fair trial, he falls back to what saved him last time.
I demand a trial by combat.
Cersei is fine with this because her champion is the Mountain, Gregor Clegane. He is a monster of a man, incidentally the Hound's older brother and the one that burned his face. Jaime can't fight for his brother with one hand, he still sucks with his left, and Bronn won't fight for him this time because Cersei paid him not to. It's like, sorry friend, good luck. But Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper, is in town. He's out for vengeance against the man who murdered his sister and her children, which happens to be the Mountain. So during their fight, he goes all Inigo Montoya, you raped her, you murdered her, you killed her children. And, oh, Oberyn wins for about 5 seconds until the Mountain knocks him off his feet and crashes his head in. Oh, God. So Tyrion is sentenced to death. His brother Jaime breaks him out, though, and Tyrion takes a detour to his father's room where he finds Shae in his dad's bed. Oh, the betrayal. Tyrion strangles her. Then he pays a visit to his pops on the pooper. Tywin is still mean to him even now, so Tyrion shoots him with a crossbow, gangsta style. Now, Jaime swore to trade himself for Sansa Stark, but now her mom's dead and Sansa's missing, so he sends Brienne to go try to uphold the vow. She goes to find Sansa and takes Tyrion's old squire, Podrick Payne. She doesn't find Sansa, but she does find Arya Stark, who's traveling with the Hound. Since all her family was killed, he's got no one to ransom her to, so they're just wandering around. They have a bar fight over some chickens, and Arya pivots from no killing to, yes, all the killing. Brienne and the Hound both want to protect her, but they don't trust each other, so they end up fighting, and Brienne punches him off a mountain. Seems like he's gonna die, so Arya finds a ship to Braavos. Braavos, I got the quest item for that. The coin Jack and Agar gave me, and the password Valor Morghulis. Well, that works, so she's off on a ship. Where is Sansa? Littlefinger took her to the Vale, that's her breastfeeding aunt's castle. And where Littlefinger always loved Catelyn, her sister always loved Littlefinger. And she reveals an epic secret. The letter she sent to Cat at the beginning of the series claiming that the Lannisters murdered the Hand of the King, it was her and Littlefinger who killed him and blamed it on the Lannisters. Yes, Peter Baelish incited the whole conflict of the the series because he thrives on chaos.
Chaos is a ladder.
But Littlefinger never liked this sister. He always loved Cat, so he throws her out the moon door. Whoa! But now his crush on Catelyn is transferring to her daughter Sansa. She's like, whoa, dude, you're too old, and that's a little creepy. But she stays friends with him for now, as he basically takes control of the Vale. Now, ever since his fall, Bran Stark has been having dreams about a three-eyed raven, so he ditches the little brother that doesn't matter, and long story short, goes to Super Tree beyond the wall. It's guarded by skeletons, so Bran uses his new warg powers to warg inside of Hodor's body and do some skeleton bashing. Inside, he finds the three-eyed raven, Tree Gandalf, who's gonna teach him tree magic. Up at the wall, Jon Snow has to defend against the wildling army, including giants and mammoths. It's an epic battle, and soon he's face to face with Ygritte, but she won't kill him, but someone else will shoot her. No, Ollie, come on. She dies in Jon Snow's arms, and it's so sad. The Night's Watch gets some reinforcements from Stannis the Manus. He got the letter asking for help, and he's like, well, I lost in the south, may as well go north. Daenerys conquers her next city, Meereen, and frees all the slaves. No mercy for the Masters, though. She could sail to Westeros, but she realizes if she bails, they're just gonna start slaving again, so she decides to stay and rule. She starts banging her hot sellsword captain, Daario Naharis, sploosh. Jorah's still in love with her, but he's been friend-zoned. And when she finds out Jorah used to spy on her, he's banished from the friend zone. And all zones, the whole city in fact. Now with Big Bad Daddy Tywin Lannister dead, Cersei's running the show again, until Tommen marries Marjorie, and with sex, she can control the king. The two queens vie for power, so Cersei appoints a fanatical new High Septon, tells him that Loras Tyrell is gay, so he's under arrest, and so's Marjorie by association. Cersei's feeling pretty good about herself until she realizes her cousin Lancel Lannister is one of them. They banged a few times, she has a type, so she's thrown in prison too. They make her do a naked walk of shame through the streets where they just ring the bell and chant shame at her. But when she gets back, she has a huge new bodyguard. The Mountain was dying after the trial by combat, but Cersei's mad scientist friend Qyburn does some freaky Frankenstein stuff and brings him back to life-ish. Tyrion makes it across the sea. Varys is gonna go join Team Daenerys. He wants Tyrion to come. But he's kidnapped by Jorah Mormont, hoping to get himself unbanished. They get kidnapped by slavers and have to fight in the Colosseum, where Jorah stops an assassination attempt. The Sons of the Harpy are trying to take their city back. They're all surrounded, but then Drogon flies in. Oh, a dragon burning all of them. Daenerys jumps on his back and flies away. She's flying on a dragon. Epic. He drops her off in the wilderness, though, and she doesn't have enough gym badges to make it fly her back. Now, after the Red Wedding, the traitor Roose Bolton took the north with his bastard son Ramsay Snow. Ramsay's got a surprise. It's a Theon Greyjoy. Ramsay's the one who captured him, and he loves torture. Spent a whole season torturing Theon, even cut off his dick. Sorry, Theon. And now he's named him Reek, and Theon is a shell of a human being. Littlefinger somehow convinces Sansa to marry this guy because he's just playing all sides at all times. But no one knew Ramsay was a monster, and she's basically kept as a prisoner. Stannis the Manus hasn't given up. He's gonna conquer the realm from the top down. But when his army is totally snowed in, Melisandre's like, hey, we need a sacrifice of king's blood. They've done this before with Gendry, the old king's bastard. They leech some blood out and sacrifice it to the Lord of Light. But Davos sent him away before they decided it'd be more effective to burn the whole thing. They do have some more king's blood around, though. Stannis' daughter, Shireen. Stannis loves his daughter, but he has a duty to the realm, so he lets Melisandre burn her. No! Stannis, why? I revoke your title of the Manus. The sacrifice works, though. The snows melt, but his whole army deserts him because they don't want to follow a guy who burns his daughter. Stannis may have the Lord of Light on his side, but he doesn't have any cavalry left, so he's defeated for good. The Night's Watch is electing a new Lord Commander. Sam's like, hey, Jon's the main character. We should vote for him. He goes to the new wildling leader, the funny ginger Tormund Giantsbane. It's like, hey, we should be bros to fight against the White Walkers. He sails to Hardhome to recruit more wildlings, but winter is coming. It's a zombie attack. It's an epic battle killing zombies, but then a White Walker shows up. Normal weapons still won't work, but Jon grabs Longclaw, Valyrian steel. Bloom blocks it, and then Slash explodes him. As they're escaping, they see albino Darth Maul. He's the Night King, the White Walker leader, and he raises everyone they just killed to join his undead army. So winter just came all over the place. Jon brings the surviving wildlings through the wall, but some of the Night's Watch think this is an act of treason, so they Julius Caesar him.
For the Watch,
And Jon Snow is bleeding out. I mean, I know they killed Ned Stark in season 1, but Jon Snow's like the main character now. They can't actually kill him, right? But it cuts to black. So Jon Snow is dead. Melisandre's hanging around the wall. She's got the best boobs in the show, by the way, unless she takes off her magic necklace and is a million years old. What? But turns out Jon's only mostly dead, so she's able to Miracle Max him, and boom, Jon Snow resurrected with fire magic. He's like, look, I've spent 5 seasons up here in the cold. I think I've earned a beach vacation. But just then, Sansa shows up. She and Theon escaped from Winterfell last season, met up with Brienne, who Tormund has a huge crush on, so watch out for that plotline. Ramsay Snow killed his dad and took over, and he's captured their youngest brother who doesn't matter. So it's the Battle of the Bastards, Jon Snow versus Ramsay Snow. Ramsay starts out by shooting the youngest Stark. Turns out he really never mattered. And then it's time for a battle scene. The best one yet. It's super epic. The good guys are way outnumbered though, and just when all hope seems lost, Sansa shows up with Littlefinger, and the Knights of the Vale ride in and win. The Northern Lords meet, and it's like, hey, Jon Snow, King in the North? King in the North! Yeah, they really love chanting that. Now Arya Stark made it to Braavos, meets up with her friend Jaqen, and joins the Faceless Man Assassin Guild, so named because they can change their faces. Long story short, she trains to become a master assassin, but she screws up her first mission by killing the wrong person, then screws up the second one by befriending her mark. She decides she'd rather go home and kill the people she wants to kill, starting with Lord Walder Frey of the Red Wedding. She slits his throat, and then uses his identity to poison all the rest of the Freys. Whoa, Arya's kinda scary now. Bran Stark's been hanging in a tree with the Three-Eyed Raven, learning how to trip out on tree roots and have spirit quests of the past. He sees his father, a young Ned Stark, during Robert's rebellion against the Mad King Aerys Targaryen. The prince, Rhaegar Targaryen, kidnapped his sister Lyanna Stark and has her hidden in the tower. They have an epic fight, then what's in the tower? It's too big a reveal, we don't find out yet. Then the White Walkers show up and kill the Three-Eyed Raven. Bran and co escape, but the zombies are hot on their tail, so it's like, Hodor, hold the door! But because Bran's mind is still in the past, he manages to warg Hodor in the past, gives him a seizure, he starts yelling, hold the door, which devolves into Hodor, and it's like, oh, I broke Hodor's brain as part of a time travel paradox. Whoops. But Hodor holds that door like a champ. Down in King's Landing, Marjorie's still a prisoner of the faith. The High Septon agrees to let her go if she announces the merger of church and state. Tommen's like, I have no idea what's going on, I'm just trying to get laid again. Cersei's walk of shame was just her bail. She still needs to come face trial. But with her big new bodyguard, no one can make her go anywhere. In fact, underneath the sept is a buttload of leftover wildfire. Boom! It explodes, blows up the whole sept, all of Cersei's enemies, and a bunch of the city in one shot. Yeah, Cersei, you a bad girl. Marjorie was in there too, so when Tommen sees that, he's like, hold on, Marjorie, I'm coming. I hope there's sex in the afterlife. Cersei's daughter, Myrcella, is also dead, poisoned as revenge for Oberyn as part of the whole Dorne plot. So with no living children, Cersei just crowns herself queen on the Iron Throne. Daenerys gets herself captured by some Dothraki, but she gathers all the calls together. It's like, remember season 1, how I'm immune to fire? Oh, burns all the calls, walks out unharmed, looking hot and naked. All the Dothraki are like, yeah, we're gonna follow her. While she's been gone, Tyrion's running Meereen. He's pretty good at it.
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
But the slavers try to reconquer the city, so when Daenerys gets back, she unleashes all 3 dragons! They make an example of this ship in particular because she commandeers the rest, and after 6 seasons of waiting, Daenerys is sailing for Westeros. She lands at Dragonstone, the ancestral seat of House Targaryen. Now, Sam Tarly is gone to college to become a maester. He sees in a book that Dragonstone has a huge deposit of dragon glass, the stuff that kills White Walkers. So Jon Snow goes to meet with Daenerys Targaryen. Main characters at opposite ends of the plot have finally connected. Daenerys has a long list of titles: the Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains, the Unburnt. Jon's recruited Davos as his hype man, and he just says, this is Jon Snow. He's a right proper lad. Jon's like, hey Dany, you want to come help me fight the White Walkers? She's like, I don't know what that is, so I'm going to ignore it. Cersei is now queen of all 7 kingdoms, but in name only because the Tyrells and Dorne have sided with Daenerys. But Cersei finds a new ally. It's Euron Greyjoy, the rockstar pirate. He's Balon's younger brother and decides that Balon has lived long enough. The Iron Islands hold a king's moot to elect a new leader. Theon's sister Yara seems like a good choice. Theon's over there too to support her. But Euron walks in and basically pulls a Trump, so they elect him to make the Iron Islands great again. So Theon and Yara stole some ships and joined Daenerys, but Euron crashes into them and goes into full beast mode. He captures Yara, and Theon is still not recovered from being Reek, so he bails. He survives though. So Euron returns triumphant. Hey, Cersei got your present. Sploosh. She even agrees to marry him after the war, but twincest is still happening, by the way. In fact, Cersei claims to be pregnant. What? Well, another incest baby. Congrats, I guess? Now Tyrion has a plan to capture Casterly Rock, the seat of Lannister power. By the way, Daenerys' unsullied Captain Grey Worm has a romance with her advisor Missandei, which is good because there's been a severe lack of boobs in recent seasons. We might even see some dick, except that all the Unsullied are eunuchs. It's okay though, they work it out. They capture the castle, but there's nothing here. Jaime took the Lannister army the other way and captured the Tyrell castle. They capture all the Tyrell gold, which is good because the Lannisters were almost out and gold wins wars. Some of the gold goes to Bronn, who's still helping out, but Jaime promised him one day he'll get a castle. Daenerys is sick of messing around, so she sends the Dothraki horde and rides a dragon into battle. In case you're wondering how effective dragons are, it's basically like having a nuclear bomb. When it lands, Jaime's like, I can take a dragon, and he charges. Just when he realizes he's made a huge mistake, Bronn tackles him into the water, and they swim away from the battle. It's like, you're not allowed to die till I get my castle. Daenerys rounds up the survivors, bend the knee or be eaten by a dragon. Randall Tarly refuses to surrender. Yeah, that's Sam Tarly's dad. Don't feel bad for him though, he's an a-hole. Sam's brother though is kind of a nice guy. Tyrion's like, hey, maybe some mercy, but she's like, no mercy. And boom, burned by dragon. That gets the rest of the knees bending real quick. Now the White Walkers are still coming. Jon's like, hey Daenerys, come on, it's now or never. But she's still in the middle of a war, so Tyrion has a crazy idea. If they can capture a zombie and show it to Cersei, she might believe the threat is real and agree to a truce. Jon's like, that idea seems dumb, but I guess there's only one season left. We gotta wrap things up. So Jon Snow assembles his dream team, the Suicide Squad of Westeros, going to capture a zombie. There's the wildling, Tormund, of course, but also the Hound. He survived his fall and joined a hippie commune, but they all died, so he went on a revenge murder spree, ran into the Brotherhood without banners, and they gave him booze and chicken, so he joined. Jorah Mormont's there too. He got grayscale for a while, but long story short, Sam cured it, and that didn't matter. Then there's Gendry, the king's blacksmith bastard. We thought he rode his way right out of the show, but he's back and he's got a new memorable shtick. He's the hammer guy. So the guys ambush some zombies and take one captive, but the army of the dead is close behind him. Jon sent Gendry to run ahead and get help. He's been rowing for 3 straight seasons, so he has incredible cardio and gets there in time. But the rest of them have to fight some zombies. Things are not looking good, but then dragons show up, yeah! And as I've said before, fire is super effective against ice and zombie. The Night King, though, has a trick up his sleeve. He throws a javelin and, oh, a dragon in the neck! No, dragons can't die! But it does! Super sad, but the rest of them manage to get away. They go to King's Landing for the truce meeting where the Hound and the Mountain face off. The Hound hates his brother for burning his face, so next season, Clegane Bowl confirmed. They show everyone that zombies are undeniably real. Seeing this, Cersei agrees to the truce, and in fact will help them fight the White Walkers. Well, that went really well. Except, of course, she's lying. She's happy to let them and the White Walkers kill each other. In fact, she sent Euron Greyjoy on a secret mission to pick up a bunch of mercenaries. But Jaime has been on a 7-season-long redemption arc. He's trying to be honorable these days and realizes that Cersei is the worst. So he rides off by himself to help, and Cersei has driven away the one person that truly loved her. Meanwhile, Bran Stark made it back to Winterfell, but he's a weird tree wizard now, and Arya made it back to Winterfell, but she's a crazy master assassin. Sansa's like, what the hell happened to my younger siblings? Littlefinger slides in there, hoping to sow distrust between them, so Sansa will need him. He and Arya try to out-sneak each other, and in the end, it looks like he won. Sansa calls her sister for trial. You stand accused of treason. Lord Baelish? What, the fake out? Yeah, we talked off screen, bro. We know you're trying to mess with us. Plus, Bran rewatched season 1 on H3O, and he saw that Littlefinger was the one that betrayed their father in the first place. So the Stark children execute him. Littlefinger, master schemer, dead. Sam makes it to Winterfell too, and Bran's like, hey, let's check out what actually happened in that tower. As expected, it's Ned's kidnapped sister, Lyanna Stark, but she wasn't kidnapped. She loved Rhaegar. They ran off together and got married, and they had a baby. That baby is Jon Snow. That's right, Ned lied all these years to protect him. It's not his son, it's his sister's, and he's not a bastard, he's the true-born son of Rhaegar Targaryen. This makes Jon Snow the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Mind blown, what? Hilariously, this also makes him Daenerys' nephew, but these two don't know that, and they get it on. Oh, aunt-nephew incest is pretty tame for Game of Thrones, so we're all okay with it. But meanwhile, at the Wall, the White Walkers have arrived. Of course, the wall's pretty tall, there's no way to get over it, unless they dredged up a dead dragon and managed to resurrect it as an ice zombie dragon. Oh, they did! What? Breathing blue flame all up on the wall, exploding it! The wall comes crashing down! And the White Walkers with the army of the dead are marching south. Winter has come.